so I understand you want to get married. I was like, yeah. And he said, but you were already married and you got divorced, correct? How do you know you're not going to get divorced again? You must always give 1 hour a day to your wife just to talk. And if you do not, and you get divorced, it is totally 100% your own fault.
Some men have shared with me that when the sex happens early on in a relationship, before there's really those conversations about what we both want and seeing if you're aligned in that way, and also before you've really had a chance to establish an emotional connection. Men have told me that having sex early on can actually short circuit the emotional connection. Because then the relationship becomes focused on hooking up, having sex, rather than really in him investing in getting to know this woman, her heart and soul and mind, and not just her body.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine how that's the case. I've spoken with guys. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for me, I don't have a wealth of experience on this, right? Personally. But I've spoken with guys who say that it's kind of like they have two avatars in their head. There's women they can hook up with, and then there's the woman they're going to marry, and they're not the same woman. And I know that this could be very heartbreaking for women who are listening, because you don't want to, people realize, and to be honest with you, this whole topic of love and marriage is just heartbreaking. So I don't know at what point I might say something that somebody goes crazy about, and it's but for a lot of guys, there's the women they can hook up with, and then there's the woman they're going to marry. Now, the chances are you don't want to even marry the guy who's been hooking up with lots of randomers anyway, right? You want somebody whose values are aligned with yours. And it's funny what you were saying about the code. If the man knows the code, then he knows what to say, and then he can crack the code. And that's why, people say and think and believe that a lot of religions are just really old fashioned, because it's religion and it comes from thousands of years ago and everything. And I work with a lot of Muslim women, and it's dude, if part of the code is he has to actually marry you before he gets sex, he ain't going to try and just crack the code. That is such a huge, that his parents are there, there's a wedding, there's everything. If you then divorce, you take half of his money. That's a pretty hard code to crack, right? I think if he's really just after sex, at some point he's going to be put up. Now, again, I know culture is different, not everybody's going to do that, but there is a method to the apparent madness of religion, right? To the different spiritual traditions, people even saying, look, have a real commitment. Because in its most essential form, marriage, in the Islamic tradition anyway, it's a commitment that we're going to be together, and it's literally legally approved mutual consent. We are going to be together, and we're saying it in front of our friends and family and everybody. And because it's a social thing and the whole society's involved, it's not an easy code to crack. Because then if you go in just with the intention of getting divorced, that's a whole thing in and of itself. So that's one part of it. Now you asked me a question. Oh yeah,
does it short circuit the emotional connection? And my sense is that this is true. Yeah. Because I feel like kind of coming back to what you said earlier, I feel like it takes away a lot of the motivation of him. I mean, if we're going with old fashioned words, of him courting her, or him romancing her, or him really winning her heart. Not just her body. It almost feels like you were saying. It almost feels like a bad deal for the woman.
Yeah, I completely agree with this. And to be honest with you, that's something that is throughout the lifetime of a relationship, even within marriage, right? Because this is kind of a masculine feminine thing. What the man really wants, he's goal focused, he's goal oriented, he's after climax. Right? He wants the goal. And for women, as I understand it, they want more to be romance and the emotional connection, and to feel like they're really deeply loved, and there's intimacy and there's connection. And from that, she'll get more and more turned on, right?
Right.
So it's going in two different directions. Now, if the woman just gives the man everything that he wants right at the beginning, his likelihood of being romantic and trying to win her heart and emotional after that, super reduced. Like the amount of effort, and this is a big problem that women face, like Muslim women face after marriage. It's like, hang on, before we got married, he was putting in so much effort and we were going out, he was doing things and everything. And now it feels like, does he even love me? And I do a lot of relationship coaching with people who are married, and the easiest thing to do is to sit down with the guy and slap him around the back of the head and be like, dude, what the hell are you doing? You got what you wanted. Now make sure you're giving her what she wants. And even the simplest instruction to the like, okay, you want to know how crazy men are? Check this out. Almost every married woman who I've coached around the marriage has said at some point, like, something to do with the emotional connection is low. Like, I don't know if he really loves me. He's not putting in an effort. He's not doing anything for me, that kind of thing. And I could all but guarantee, give me 10 minutes with the guy and I can turn it around. And she's like, don't be ridiculous. What are you talking about? How's that going to happen? I'm like, trust me. Here's how basic it is. This is all I say to the guy. I say to the guy the thing that a Sufi spiritual master of the Islamic tradition said to me before I got married the second time. Right? So he sits me down. I just written the book Inside the Soul of Islam, and I was taking it to scholars and, spiritual people and saying, hey, check out, proof the book, make sure it's all good. So he was reading the book. I went to him for that. And then he said, so you want to get married? So I understand you want to get married. I was like, yeah. He said, he's Sudanese, so he has this beautiful African accent. But you were already married and you got divorced, correct? I was like, yes. He said, so how do you know you're not going to get divorced again? I was like, oh, I was taken aback a bit. I was like, I thought we were here to talk about the book. But he said, how do you know you're not going to get divorced again? And I said, and I was about to stop. My ego was like, oh, but I've learned so much since then, and I know more about presence and and the psychological switch and everything. But I was like, no, I'm with a very wise person. I should shut up and listen to what he's about to. I knew he was going to drop some kind of wisdom. And he said, this is what you do. From now on, he said, I know you're a busy man. I know you write books and you do seminars and you travel the world for your seminars and things like that. It does not matter how busy you become. You must always give 1 hour a day to your wife just to talk. It says every day, no matter what, you give 1 hour. That is the right she has over you. He said, the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, said, the best of people are the best to their wives and the best to their families. If you want to be the best to your wife, if you want to do the bare minimum of be the best to your wife, you're going to talk with her for 1 hour a day. And I said, okay. And then he said, and if you do not, and you get divorced, it is totally 100% your own fault. I was like, whoa, no one had ever shared it with me like that before. And lo and behold, he's absolutely correct. Every day I spend 1 hour talking with my wife. Right now, my wife's traveling with the kids and I'm at home. And every day, no matter what happens, it's in my calendar. 1 hour I've got scheduled. I make sure we're going to spend at least an hour every day talking. But it's better. If the relationship, if something's up, if we're disconnected, if things are going wrong, if we're starting to argue or fight or something like that, I literally look at my calendar and I'm like, oh, look, it's been 3 weeks and I didn't make an hour a day to talk. Of course, we're going to start having arguments and things like that. So yeah, the thing of it, emotional connection being part and parcel and coming before physical connection. Absolutely. The man wants physical connection. Great. Make sure you're getting the emotional connection before you give it to him. Mm-hmm. Because it's so, and yeah, again, one of the things that women might not realize, every single one of the women who I've advised this to, where I've said, hey, just tell your man this and then frame it in a certain way, or tell him to speak with me for 10 minutes and I'll explain it to him. Every single time it's been a turnaround. Now, here's the thing. It's not about the hour, right? It's about the hour of only talking And during that time, there's emotional connection. And that's what ends up saving the marriage, right? But the emotional connection doesn't even have, it's funny, like last week or a couple of weeks ago, I was at a Tony Robbins conference, and it was his, he has this really famous productivity system called the Rapid Planning Method, RPM. And he said something that really, like, I must have heard him say this before, but it hit me this time. He said, you know what time is? Time is emotion. And I was like, time is emotion? What the heck does that mean? And then after exploring it a bit, I got it. It's like, of course, time is emotion. It's the emotional state you're in determines whether something feels like it's taking forever or it goes like that. When you're emotionally connected during that hour, it's going to feel like 5 minutes, and you're going to be so into each other, and you're going to want to have more and more of it. So this is how, like, it's so funny, but in a man's little limited left brain logic, being able to schedule in an hour a day, and then I've done my kind of duty for the relationship to keep it alive, it works wonders. Absolute wonders. Right.
Yeah, I think that's incredibly powerful and incredibly insightful. And yeah, I think there'd be a lot less relationships that break down and a lot less divorces if that were practiced. And, this actually brings up another idea that I think is important just for us to mention here, which is that I think relationships are living, breathing things. And they require, like a plant, it requires sunshine or water to live and thrive. A relationship requires attention. And Mamoon, it's so funny because I tend to be very verbose. I'm a talker, right? My husband is a man of few words. He's an attorney. He's a CPA, accounting. He's very left-brained. And I'm like Miss Creative. He says, I got the entrepreneurial spirit. He says he got the entrepreneurial spirit, right? We're totally different people. So for him, he's a man of few words in most cases. When he does speak, he speaks things that are important. But I need to process by speaking, right? So this is something we've had to learn in our relationship. So I'll just say to him, I'll say, Benjamin, I just need you to listen to me. You don't have to solve this. You don't have to even give me advice. Or, in some cases, I'll want his opinion or advice. But I just let him know what I need. And he'll give me his attention, his focus, because I think in our modern world, attention and focus is one of the rarest commodities.
100%.
So what you're talking about is incredibly powerful in a relationship or marriage.